Everything you need to know about Deadpool and Wolverine is in its title. A buddy cop comedy with so many references to nerd culture that your significant other who doesn't care about Marvel in the slightest will probably want to stay home for this one. It has a loose story, bridging the previous Fox Deadpool movies with Disney Marvel's Loki series, the one show on Disney Plus which reviewed well enough to market the platform with. The plot of Deadpool and Wolverine involves the Fox X-Men timeline coming to an end, meaning that all the supporting characters from the previous Deadpool movies will cease to exist. At its core, it relies on the audience understanding and caring about the transition of rights to a character from one corporation to another. In the second act, the two lead characters are dropped into the void from the Loki show, and are there so long that the movie feels like it should be ending by the time they escape. However, there's still the big finale where the characters argue about who will be the sacrificial hero. Deadpool assures the audience that the movie will be over soon, so the writers understood that it sags in the middle. It's during this time that a team of old Fox characters are introduced, like the Island of Misfit Toys. Jennifer Garner's Elektra has been considered to be a bad movie, and the character isn't exactly redeemed by an inclusion here. As Blade, Wesley Snipes' line delivery is perfect, but these characters only get a little more detail than the variants from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, who were all quickly killed off after being introduced. This is the second time a member of the Fantastic Four has shown up in a Marvel movie, only to meet a gory end. The ragtag crew here is treated with more respect as they actually survive, but the plot moves away from them. I've seen a lot of praise for Channing Tatum as Gambit, however, I found his performance to be awkward and stiff, explaining why his movie never got made. From a visual perspective, the costume design mimics the comic book, but Tatum is a beefcake, making Gambit look more like a tank than a slim thief. The whole joke of his character here is that you can't understand his Cajun accent, which sounds a lot better in the new animated show.
You stopped the bad guys, saved the kid, got home safe. These beignets needed me more than you did, mon ami.
Gambit has one line about how his dad ran his buttery nuts all up in his mom. The big bad Cassandra Nova also has a line about flicking her bean while listening to the Enya box set. And again, this feels like dialogue for the wisecracking Deadpool to be speaking. The dynamic is thrown off when every character starts making jokes and over-the-top statements. The R rating allows for adult humor, which saves the movie from entering cringe territory. All of the humor involving cocaine and gay sex only seems edgy if you take into account that this is technically a Disney movie. If even a small percentage of the rapid-fire humor works for you, it's still a much more enjoyable experience than DC's The Flash, which served a similar function with surprisingly less humor. Spider-Man No Way Home still has the best drama of these live-action multiverse movies, which all three provide a chance at redemption for actors associated with failed projects. The opening fight montage for Deadpool and Wolverine, in which a professional dancer is in the suit slaying to the polished pop of NSYNC, provides great use of musical irony. The lyrics of Bye 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 set the stage for a farewell to an era. The song, which was an overplayed hit at the time X-Men 2 released, was used for a gag in that movie in which it angered Wolverine. Now it's the theme to his literal desecration, and it's very amusing. There have been suggestions that this is the best MCU movie since Endgame. However, Guardians 3 went out on a similar high last year as James Gunn closed out his work at Marvel Studios with a film that was charming and thoughtful. Deadpool and Wolverine as a whole does not delve into trauma as deeply as Rocket Raccoon's backstory did, but Hugh Jackman gives it his all as Wolverine. He goes hard, giving an Oscar-worthy performance in a movie which is most certainly not an Oscar movie. The monologue which leads into the Honda Odyssey fight scene has been circulating social media since the movie opened. Ryan Reynolds is a solid voice actor, with great comedic timing, but there's a point in every Deadpool movie where the non-stop banter grows tiresome. Wolverine has been mostly silent up to this point, and his barrage of personal insults is incredibly cathartic. These two damaged misfits are going through couples therapy most of the movie. It's formulaic, but the chemistry works. Director Sean Levy has mostly been known for working in the family-friendly realm, most famously with Night at the Museum. He worked with Jackman on Real Steel and Reynolds on Free Guy, but all three of them should be running victory laps after the $1 billion this movie has brought in. Like the Barbie movie from 2023, it's generated massive income because it's a worldwide established IP helmed by genuine movie stars. Barbie chose to incorporate feminist social commentary, while Deadpool and Wolverine is a movie without message or meaning. Deadpool, who often quips and jokes while he's in a fight, is like a Spider-Man with guns, making the character inherently more violent and edgy, though it's the logic of Looney Tunes-style slapstick. Characters can die in one movie and then return in the next because of mid-credit scene shenanigans. Lore doesn't really matter in these movies. When Wade Wilson addresses the camera, he might as well be Bugs Bunny declaring, "Ain't I a stinker?" Jokes about the woke mob and Gen Z trauma bragging didn't receive many laughs from the crowd, but the more general character-based humor resonated. The crowd loved the jokes about Disney and Fox, but of course the movie never bites the hand that feeds. It works better than it did in She-Hulk, where the fourth wall breaks felt more forced. The end credits are a tribute to the Fox era, the good and the bad. Bryan Singer, who directed 3 of the X-Men movies, has multiple allegations of sexually assaulting minors, making this whole nostalgic in remembrance angle feel weird. All of the Deadpool movies are highly reverent to the superhero genre. They are superhero movies with self-aware jokes. They are not satire, parody, or spoof, and this began with the original. It fits ultra-violent adult humor into the superhero origin story template. There are dozens of other movies with the same story, but Reynolds understands the character and is charismatic in the role. The Deadpool trilogy has a surprising consistency, despite every movie being helmed by a different director. Deadpool, released in 2016, is not a director's movie. It's a vehicle for Ryan Reynolds to solidify his star power. Reynolds first played the role in X-Men Origins Wolverine, in which he barely resembled the iconic look of the character. The comic book art design falls in between Deathstroke from DC and Spider-Man from Marvel, but Reynolds looks more like a Cenobite from Hellraiser. The merc with a mouth had his mouth sewn shut. It wasn't until the first Deadpool movie, Tim Miller's feature debut, that Reynolds was able to appear as a comic-accurate version of the character. After the failure of Miller's next movie, Terminator Dark Fate, his only directorial credit has been doing reshoots for the Borderlands movie, which received abysmal early buzz and is now being called the biggest studio bomb of all time. Deadpool 2 is directed by David Leitch, a former stuntman who co-directed John Wick but wasn't credited. Atomic Blonde and The Fall Guy might not have blown up the box office, but Bullet Train passed the 200 million mark, largely due to the inclusion of Brad Pitt. Leitch's career in directing action has been solid, and Deadpool 2 manages to top the gory comedy of the first. The story involves a kid who is a potential school shooter, undergoing mutant conversion therapy, and its themes run deeper than the original. Josh Brolin's Cable is more of a plot device than a character, and his most memorable lines involve jokes about dubstep. Like Deadpool and Wolverine, it's very much a movie of its time, made for those in the know. The term lampshading refers to a trick where a writer addresses the implausibility of a given situation by having a character call attention to it, often in the form of a joke. Hanging a lampshade is usually a point of critical derision, but the tactic is held like a badge of honor throughout these movies. The Deadpool trilogy knows that it's formulaic, and yet it doesn't change the fact that it's not exactly original. Deadpool and Wolverine is a product designed to service fans and not critics. It's a nostalgic money-printing machine, only topped in 2024 by Inside Out 2, which is almost guaranteed to make more with its PG rating. Deadpool and Wolverine is not the best film of the year, and it's not the end of cinema. It's just a good old-fashioned crowd pleaser, and an excuse for straight men to rock out to Madonna.